Yes, sir.
All right. Hi, Charlie. My name's Gabriel, and I'm a senior in high school. And I want to tell you this. I don't know much about this topic, so I'm here more to learn, but I also want to provide a point of view. So I wanted to speak about Trump's tariff policy. So since January 2025, Trump has had one of the worst presidential terms concerning the economy. And there's statistics to back this up. S&P has dropped 8%, Dow Jones has dropped 7%, the Russell has dropped 12%. The way I understand it, tariffs are a tax that are passed on to consumers. They impede upon the world free trade and increase the cost of imported goods. This not only has tanked our economy, but is actually putting small businesses across America out of work. Middle class Americans that voted for Trump, believing prices would drop, are now having to close down their small business because they used to rely on outsourcing. Now, I understand that Trump's goal with this tariff policy is to bring back jobs to America. However, this is an unrealistic reality. Even though some corporations are moving production to the U.S. to avoid tariff, in reality, most would rather pass the cost on to consumers than financially pay billions of dollars in building new plants in America and paying higher wages. With all of this, I wanted to ask you if you could please defend Trump's tariff plan.
Sure. Great. First of all, the market's recovering, but you're right, it has gone down. The market is not a necessarily good indicator of the economy. We have an economy, and then we have a market. Half of Americans don't own any stocks, just for the record.
Okay.
That's a very important thing, right?
There's a lot of Americans that have money in stocks and
No,
are
of course
losing
they do.
money every day. Because
Well,
of these
actually,
tariffs.
okay, you're in high school, so I'm just going to be like super gentle. Like, the market's been up the last couple days, right? Markets go up, markets go down.
Okay.
The more important question, though, is what type of economy is going to survive the next 40 or 50 years? When we do not make our own vitamin C, we don't make our own antibiotics, we don't make our own drone parts, and it's all made in China, we should try to re-domicile it. It's tempting to blame this all on tariffs, but there's actually no tariffs that are in place right now. You know that, right?
There's still a 10% baseline tariff, and even though there's a 90-day pause, they're going to come back. That's the reality.
You know that better than I do, right? Yeah.
Well, I know that. That's a fact.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay.
There's a 90-day pause on
Okay,
tariffs.
so again, I'm trying to be super, like, you're in high school, it's fine. You know Trump's talking to South Korea and Japan and Vietnam.
Okay.
We're going to get massive deals with India, and we're going to fix the trade imbalances. And here's the core of it. Can we at least agree that Trump ran on the idea of tariffs?
He did.
And people voted for it?
Yes.
Should elected leaders do what people vote for them to do?
Yes, but
Okay.
but I agree that he's doing what he said he would do. What I'm asking you is how can you defend what he's doing? Because what would you say to the middle class American that has a small business that now has to shut down their business because they used to outsource to China and now they can't pay due to the high tariffs? That's my question.
They were outsourcing to China?
Well, even though some small businesses don't outsource, they get a lot of their production from big companies that do make their products foreign. And so now that those prices are being jacked up and small businesses are running out of customers because they're having to pass the cost on to the consumer.
I see no evidence of that happening, and I believe, first of all...
what is the definition of a tariff?
Well, the tariff is a duty on an imported product. How do you avoid a tariff?
You move to the U.S.
Yeah, exactly. So wait, hold on a second.
Are most companies moving to the U.S.?
Actually, yes. You know there's over $6 trillion in investments announced in the last 2 weeks in the United States of America?
Yeah.
$6 trillion.
But what happens in the U.S.? You get higher wages. Where does that cost go? Businesses aren't going to just pay that cost. They pass that cost on to the consumers.
Toyota, Honda, Stellantis, NVIDIA did a $500 billion investment.
Yeah,
Oracle,
NVIDIA is down
data
like
centers.
20% in the last 3 months.
Right, again, so I'm going to try to be very gentle with this. Stock prices are not always a reflection of reality. That is an inflection of investors' skittishness, right? So if NVIDIA is down 20%, they might have been hyperinflated a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Let me just kind of close with this. Do we both agree we should make more stuff in America?
I agree in certain cases, yes.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think with critical manufacturing, critical industry, we have massive trade imbalances with these countries. The president is going to actually say you have to buy more of our product, buy more of our liquefied natural gas. And I believe coupled with that small business that you talked about, they're about to receive the largest tax cut in American history. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, and a massive middle-class tax.
But if we can produce goods foreignly for less money, why are we moving it back to the U.S.? And my other point is...
Because less money is not the most important thing.
By moving it back to the U.S., what are you making more factory jobs? We're moving into a time where tariffs are behind us. Factory jobs are behind us.
Wrong.
Soon AI is going to take over these factory jobs.
And this is where you're totally wrong, man. We have 11 million manufacturing jobs that we need to fill in the next 5 years that don't require college degrees. Advanced manufacturing jobs, highly precise. Who's going to build all the robots? Who's going to build the drones? There's insane amount of hardware infrastructure that needs to happen. Factory jobs are not behind us. In fact, we have more hardware needs now in 2025 than we even had in 1985. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Thank you.